Hi, um, and welcome back to another Charles chat. I will say I don't have my tripod, so my phone is kind of jerry-rigged on a cake platter. So there might be some shifting, bear with. I don't know what episode Charles chat this is, and frankly I don't care. And as usual, these are unedited. There's no script, there's nothing. I just felt this morning in a productive mood, which has been coming to me few and far between. And I felt I should at least get on here, and even if for my own purposes, document some thoughts and my stream of consciousness during this time. So stick around, take what resonates with you, leave the rest. This is more for me than anyone else, but I would hope that maybe in my stream of consciousness there might be some threads of things that will resonate. So here we go. I have been incredibly exhausted lately. I moved across the country less than a week ago, and so the physical exhaustion from that, the mental exhaustion of planning to move and uproot in 2 weeks' time and then packing everything in 2 days was immense. The emotional exhaustion that fully hasn't gone away or set in of leaving my entire friends and sense of community and family and career and all of that behind. But then, I believe my second day here, maybe it was even my first day here, my exhaustion just kind of exponentially got worse as it was paired with heart sickness for this country, and as it was paired with rage and sadness and heartbreak, more so than usual. I've been angry during this time, during the coronavirus. I've been angry during this time of quarantine. I've been angry during my move and sad. But the rage that I felt and the exhaustion of just being tired of this fight that so many people have had to go through, tired on behalf of other people, that is unparalleled. So I figured I would hop on here and just chat with you all, or with myself, and unravel that. I say all of this with understanding I have an immense amount of privilege. Up until a couple of days ago, lived in San Diego, California. You know, I cannot say that I have ever knowingly experienced racism. I cannot even say that knowingly I have experienced any kind of colorism or prejudice based on my skin tone, even though I am a person of mixed race. But I have family that has, and I have friends that have, and I have chosen family that have and continue to. So I'm doing my best to stay educated. I'm doing my best to educate others as much as they will listen. I'm doing my best to educate those that are choosing to go out and protest, which is a viable means to change. I fully support them in all of that. I fully support anyone who wants to take to the streets. There are not any protests where I'm at right now. I'm in a small town in North Carolina, and there are no protests. But had I postponed my flight by 3 days, I would be at the protests in San Diego. So I am doing my best to share resources and facts in a positive and constructive way, and trying to channel my emotion into positive and constructive avenues that will support the people on the ground, because I physically cannot go and protest. So I am doing my best. So I hope you all are doing your best. I hope you all are. We need kindness during this time. We need kindness for our fellow protesters and fellow people fighting for change. They might not be going about it the way that you want or like, but they are doing something about it. And there's really no way for us to tell Black people in this country how they should be feeling or what they should be feeling or how they should be reacting. A lot of people have been quoting Dr. King and talking about peaceful protest, but we should point out Dr. King had peaceful protests and he was still shot at. So I think now is the time. I think we're in the middle of a history book bullet point. In fact, a whole history book. I think there's a before and after. Some would say there's a before and after 2020 or a before and after the pandemic. And I have to agree that this is going to be the before 2020. Our country, there was a certain sense among many people in this country of American excellence, a certain nationalistic patriotism for this country that COVID structurally showed us. Our capitalist society is not fit to support people. It is not fit to support this country during a time of crisis. And I think it is very telling that we could barely afford to support the unemployed people in this country during a time of crisis and global pandemic. But over the course of 2 days, we were able to create, build, monetize, and send out entire militias and military bases and functioning militaries to how many cities in this country. That should be very telling. The actions of our president right now should be very telling. Valuing property over human life. I'm not debating this in the comments. Anyone who can look at his behavior now and not see an issue with it either has deep moral issues and discrepancies with democracy that they themselves have to work through, or they, I mean, I guess these go one and the same, or they have to agree with him. But I think I'm just heartsick, I'm exhausted, I'm tired, I'm broken. And yet here we are. There is a Dr. Martin Luther King quote that my friend totally by coincidence stumbled upon when we were FaceTiming. She found it in a book of hers, and I'm going to not give the direct quote because I don't have it in front of me. This is unscripted, but it was something along the lines of, you cannot always see the top of the staircase, or maybe it was, you cannot always see the entire staircase, you just have to go one step at a time. And I think that quote and variations of it have been so shared and said time and time again in any situation of crisis, but we have to understand that we are in the middle of an intersection of two economically crippling moments in American history and in world history right now. And I'm not saying that the Black Lives Matter movement in their protests or the retaliation by the police, I'm not saying that that is crippling in a negative way. I'm just saying we are in a period of time that will severely affect this country. And I think emotionally we're all overloaded. I think we're all overloaded, exhausted, and we don't have a choice. People of color haven't had a choice to step away or to turn off their TV or their Instagram or not read a newspaper. They don't have that ability, just in a similar way that we as queer people don't have certain abilities. But the struggle is different, and it being Pride Month, I know the queer community, that is another fight that we need to struggle, but the intersection of queer activism and Black activism is very telling, is very connected. Stonewall was a protest. I know that's been said over and over again, but we have to remind ourselves that the gay rights movement, the queer rights movement was started by a Black trans woman of color. And it was Black trans women primarily of color that were the instigators at Stonewall. And if it weren't for a protest, and if it weren't for a violent protest at that, we wouldn't have the queer rights we have now. So we need to bear that in mind in looking at what's going on with the Black Lives Matter movement in this country, because it's been far too long. That's such an understatement, but I can't think of the words to say anything else. So that is my Charles chat. I know we're over 10 minutes, so I do apologize, but even for me to look back on this, hopefully in years to come, and see where I was at and what the country was doing, hopefully this will serve as archival purposes to see in the future how far we have come thanks to the actions of so many right now. If you, like me, are not able to go to a protest, be it for physical reasons or geographical reasons, donate, share, educate, and inform. You can sign a petition, you can call, you can text, you can share things on social media, you can support your friends, you can give supplies, you can drive and pick up to and from protests. There's lots of things you can do to be of help. And this is not just for Black people, this is not just for young people, this is for Americans, and not even Americans, this is for humans. This is for humans who value human life and the freedom in this country to lead a life, and the freedom in this country that so many are afforded that the Black community has not been afforded fully. So that is my bit. Take what resonates with you. It may have been all over the place, but such is life and such is the world right now. So I don't know who's gonna watch this, but I hope that you are doing well and staying strong. That's all we can do. And hope, of course, is the one thing everyone can afford to have and the one thing that none of us can afford to lose. So sending vibes your way, and I will see you in the next Charles chat. I will type up a blog post where my thoughts are a little bit more organized, and in the future that will be in the description box below.